Hi, I'm Sebastian, or Basti, as he just said. And I present today, although I'm just usually doing research at Altobeat, I can present to you the golden raspberry awards of Ethereum scaling. I don't know if you know the raspberry awards. It's like a anti-Oscar ceremony. And I'm going to try to be very gentle. Also because so much good things have happened in Ethereum scaling. And I just want to follow the philosophy of who I work for, which is actually providing transparency. And I would probably need a clicker, right? I don't know, or I can go next slide. And so I want to provide transparency, and one way of providing transparency is probably to criticize just a little bit. Okay, next slide. I mean, it wouldn't be a problem if I do it manually like this. If I just say, yeah, perfect. So you probably know Bartek, and maybe you've seen him at DEF CON. He ripped dramatically a sign apart, which is the sign of stage 0. We have 3 stages at Altobeat, 3 stages of decentralization. He ripped apart the 0th stage, and we kind of told you at DEF CON that it's time to grow up. Like, we have this notion of training wheels, and you kind of need training wheels when you're in your childhood, or you're trying to learn a new thing, like scaling. But now we kind of are mature enough to grow up. Thanks. And so, time to grow up. And in a few days, it's not 16 days as shown there, this is our website, it's 7 days. In 7 days, there will be the big recategorization, which is not like super big, but it will, in the first weeks or so, be probably quite big, because as you can see here, we are going to introduce minimum requirements for decentralization. So minimum requirements to be considered scaling Ethereum, right? Those will be at least having a proof system which is sufficiently open, and having data availability that is sufficiently guaranteed by, for example, a data availability bridge or a data availability committee of a certain size. You can see here, for example, Validiums and Optimiums are going to go to the others category, almost all of them, and they will be considered as not scaling Ethereum at this moment, or at least at working on it. For rollups, it looks better. I showed the worst case here, and yeah, you're going to see. So let's get to the awards. The first award is the most overloaded Security Council. I also wanted to ask, I forgot, can you raise your hand if you know Altobeat at all? That's epic. Very nice. Most overloaded Security Council. If you know Altobeat, you probably know what a Security Council is. Specialized multisig. Overloaded, I will explain soon, but first I'll show you. It's Starknet. Hey. And I'm not trying to throw shade on Starknet, although it looks like it. Maybe just a little bit of shade. But I don't want to show like the worst case, the worst offenders, because they probably don't care about decentralization. And Starknet definitely does, right? So I want to motivate where the motivation actually means something. And for Starknet, it definitely does mean something. And you can see here, the most overloaded Security Council probably has something to do with the operator section. So the slice at the bottom, this pizza is about risk. You probably know it from our site. And the yellow parts are mostly operators. So sequencer, proposer, often very centralized. Would be nice maybe to decentralize. Is not always necessary to decentralize, but you probably want to force transactions, for example, to have sufficient decentralization. So the problem with Starknet is they do have the Security Council, very robust, it's very new, it has 9 out of 12 threshold. It's just a multisig, but a special one, because there's special signers. And Starknet now also uses this multisig for a different thing. Usually it's used for upgrades, for emergency things, right? Things that happen when something breaks or when there's a big change in the protocol. They now also use it. You can see this is our internal tool. I don't need to say internal because you can all use it. We also publish it on our website in a hosted version, but you can download it. And you can see that there's a second copy of the same multisig with a lower threshold of 3 out of 12, which is the quorum breaking minority of the 9 out of 12. And those are an operator. So this multisig can finalize proven state. So if state is CK proven, they can finalize this state, and you can withdraw based on it. That's basic operator duty. Now, this is kind of a problem, because here I show in a rough form what the stages are about. Like, if you don't know stages, this will be a nice abstraction. You can just say, at stage 0, the operator can rug you, right? Or you could also say, you have to trust the operator. At stage 1, it's only the Security Council, nobody else. Should be. Lots of implicit assumptions there, but should only be the Security Council that can rug you. So for stage 1, the Security Council is extremely important. Stage 2, nobody can. Like, it's a permissionless system, fully permissionless. Now, for Starknet, you always have implicit assumptions, but suddenly for Starknet, you have one more, the purple one down there, or the pink one. Suddenly you have to, when your transaction gets censored in Starknet now, the operator is still centralized, but now you would have, as a user, to go to the Security Council and say, well, I want to withdraw from this rollup. My transactions got censored. And like, first, how do you go to the Security Council? Like, what is even that process? Like, do you call them? Do you write them on the blockchain? Like, I don't know. And there's no formal way defined yet. And for example, maybe we would have to do this. So that's like the reason for these awards is also we talk to Starknet about this, but there should be more people talking about it, right? You should maybe talk to us, and more people should discuss these special cases, right? Security Council should not be an operator, I think. Okay, Kinto is an honorable mention. It's a bit smaller, but it's also stage 1. It's also a rollup, and an app chain rollup, a bit different, but it's also a rollup. And they are also severely overloading their Security Council. They have a full KYC chain, which kind of sounds weird, right? Decentralization, stage 1, and also full KYC. But the way they do this is they still hold true to this main principle. Only Security Council can rug you at stage 1 by just making the Security Council do the KYCing. Not specifically the KYCing, but at least the censoring part. So you get KYC somewhere, whatever, then you can use the chain, then you're censored because you land on the OFAC list, I don't know, you use Tornado Cash or whatever. And then the Security Council has to approve your censorship. So for example, your KYC revocation. If they wouldn't have to do this, it wouldn't be stage 1. But like, this is stage 1. So you can see that's a different stage 1 than if there wasn't KYC, right? So maybe you should trust Vita Drake here and make Security Councils as limited as possible, right? Because they're very powerful at stage 1. Don't really, I wouldn't trust them for sequencing or censorship resistance. They don't even have the tools. Like, we are on some Security Councils, and we don't have the tools at L2B to run operator for all blockchains, right? Longest possible pause at stage 1 is a very simple award, and it's for the superchain in its entirety, especially for the superchain at stage 1, the few rollouts that are at stage 1 of the superchain. And this right now, longest possible pause, is even longer than that, but so infinite. But in the future, it will probably be 6 months, because we have been in discussions with them, and it came out that probably it will be 6 months. this should probably also be a bigger discussion because it's a huge thing. This pausing is not the Security Council, even at stage 1, because it's not indefinite. We wouldn't allow it indefinitely by a non-Security Council, but this is this can be by any team multisig, right? 3+3 because you can pause locally and you can pause the entire superchain by different actors, and you can stack it. So that's a problem, should be discussed, in my opinion. Least available data. So that's about data availability, as you can imagine. And put EigenDA there, just because no project uses their bridge, which is a problem, and I think it should also be EigenDA motivating projects to use the EigenDA bridge. And I would say this award goes to all data availability committees that are one, like the committee is literally one person, which is already doesn't work with the word committee, and to the ones that have data availability somewhere else, not on Ethereum, but are not building a bridge. Why build a bridge? This is the beautiful sunny case. You just put your data on Ethereum. You can, for example, put your data on Ethereum. Here, the full transaction data. That means everyone can, just by looking at Ethereum, we already trust Ethereum. We already think it's like very decentralized. So no new trust assumptions. You just look at Ethereum and you can take all transactions, execute them, and you get the state of the rollup. That's pretty awesome. But you can just do this if the full transaction data is on Ethereum. And you need it for the most important things, like, for example, withdrawing. For your Merkle proof, you need the full state. And then you can withdraw. Or, for example, optimistic systems with fault proofs. They need the full data, otherwise they can't even challenge. Like someone would propose a malicious state that rugs everyone, and no one could challenge because they can't reproduce the data. That's what we see here. That's what many do today. That's why the alt-DA section is like 2 projects in 1 week. They put data, I mean, like, it's like putting in their basement. They put it somewhere else, maybe on a great data availability layer. Like, there is like awesome solutions, right? There's Celestia, there's Avail, and so on. But they put it there, and they don't build a bridge. So at that moment, if you're looking from Ethereum, and this is not a thought experiment, but having this perspective from Ethereum is super important. Everything else, if you're not starting somewhere with your trust assumptions, everything else will never scale. You cannot say, yeah, but maybe these other blockchains are also be decentralized. You cannot do, like, if you're bridged to an L2 and suddenly, well, the data is on Celestia, and now I need to run a Celestia node for it to be trustless. I need to read about Celestia. This never scales, right? And we want to scale Ethereum. All the awards are about scaling Ethereum, right? So not building bridges will never scale. Maybe in the future Celestia is the better decentralized platform, but then we will only look from the Celestia perspective and build bridges to there. So yeah, this is a problem. You can't withdraw, that's why it's red. You can't build the Merkle proof, you can't challenge, you'll get rugged. And this is the good thing that some projects do, and we have many commitments. Like, I'm not saying this will always be so empty, our scaling page after the recategorization. We have lots of commitments, literally projects writing me today that they're switching to a data availability bridge. So it looks pretty good, just saying. And yeah, this is again like the viewpoint of Ethereum is super important. This huge abyss of non-scaling. If you take anything else and put it in the trust assumptions, it doesn't work. You can't just add trust assumptions. You have to convince Ethereum that your data was made available somewhere else. And that's what the bridge does. Here are all the awarded. If you're working for them or with them, you can come to me and we can discuss it, and maybe I even have an award for you. Is this with questions or without? Oh, nice, perfect. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Least proven proof system. I'll go through this quick because it's not super known. Metis. I've looked so much at their code, and I just need to get it out of my system a little bit. This is also personal and not about L2B at all. So, yeah, Metis also tries to get through these new requirements, the new recategorization, which needs data availability on Ethereum, and it's green. So yes, they're posting their full transaction data to Ethereum since 2 weeks ago or so. The other thing is have a proof system, right? You need a proof system if you want to scale Ethereum. So there it is. It's there. You can, again, use our tools to look at it in depth. Well, the problem is it's not connected to the rollup. So it is like this, right? I don't know if you know this, but this is typical OP stack proof system. They didn't connect it to the rollup. And the only connection is here, the Metis multisig. This has, as a conclusion, as a consequence, proof system works like this. If you see someone will rug you, right? You see malicious state being proposed, you will lose all of your money on L2. Then you go to the Metis multisig, like this kid does, because Metis multisig has this role, game creator, so they can deploy a proof, like a bisection game, OP stack specific fault proofs. They deploy it, you win because your state is the correct state, right? That's how fault proofs work. But again, no connection, so nothing happens. You just win. You're happy, like when you receive my award. And then you go again to Metis multisig here, and you say, can you please delete the state that I just proved is wrong? So that's not how you do a proof system. And I'm sure they will change it. I'm just saying, probably projects will change it even faster, maybe, if I give them awards. Okay, so maybe you want to ask some questions. That's why I summarized the points I wanted to make. So about the POV, right? We should look from Ethereum. Pauses should be explicitly limited. I think we shouldn't say, yeah, no indefinite pauses, because then the next project will do 5 million years pause and say, well, it's not indefinite. The proof systems are currently cannot be left alone. They cannot be permissionless as we would like them in stage 2, right? They're good for stage 1, but current proof systems are still hard to scale. Bisection games are pretty hard to scale. You often need huge bonds. And ZK proof systems are also hard to scale. You cannot really make them permissionless at the moment, because completeness for ZK proofs in this, often you can find something that is somehow not provable or will kill the ZK proof. And job of the security council should be super clear. So don't overload them with random stuff. Security councils should be extremely specialized and focused on upgrades, actually on emergency upgrades. Ideal would be if a security council could always leave if there are no bugs. And yeah, alignment to a framework that we make or that anyone creates should probably always have very hard requirements, but also some guiding principles, so that people can actually think what was the thought behind this framework and follow it in a good faith way, not only tick on a checklist these requirements. And that's it, and you can ask some questions if you like.
Woo. We already have some questions from our wonderful tool. So we select for answering, what are the Golden Raspberry Awards that you would give to L2Beat itself? Self-referential.
I mean, I already showed them in the beginning, right? The vegan and stuff. But seriously, probably like the main thing we're trying at the moment is to make this transparency even more credibly neutral. So it might look, if you look at our page, it might look like our opinion and thing that you cannot really verify, but we really want to make more of an effort to actually give you the tools and allow you to verify everything yourself. So use these tools that I just showed, that shows on-chain contract state and following everything to at least to Etherscan and then hopefully to like blockchain data. Yeah, I don't know.
There's another question. You do a lot of deep research. How large is the team doing it? Because it's a lot of work.
Sorry?
How large is the team doing it? Because it's a lot of work to do that.
How is the team doing?
How large is the team? You know, how many people are you?
23, 4.
23, that's a good number.
Something like this, yes.
Then there's also, we have 2 more minutes, the question, what L2 deserves the most praise?
The most praise?
Yeah, most praise.
Oh my goodness, it's so I said credibly neutral, now I like criticize some and now I have to say who's the best.
Yeah.
That's like not credibly neutral.
Yeah, true. So I also like don't ask the question that was asked here, what's the worst? So
but you can ask me privately because I have an opinion on that personally. You know?
Okay, we do that privately. There's a lot of like the social mixer afterwards or debates afterwards. Yeah, then discuss it here. Who could win an Oscar right now?
An Oscar?
Ah, okay.
I don't know, like I'm not into movies that much.
Okay. You can add some questions with the, I think we are through the ones here, so with the QR code, we have 3 more minutes. Or do you have anything else to say that we forgot?
The revenue model of L2B is asked.
Yeah.
Is that a bad question or?
I don't, yeah, okay. The revenue model, what's the revenue model?
Well, like any fully halal perfect company, we only live from grants. So grants and donations. And grants can, of course, come from like maybe some dystopian entities, but we will never do what someone forces us to do. So the grants, of course, can maybe nudge us in a way, but grants are usually like in research. We want to solve a problem, then we look for someone that can maybe fund it, and then we do it. And that's the funding model. There's no other, like we're not providing services. Oh yeah, security councils also pay money, for example, but that's not significant for, like that doesn't pay our salary.
When L3 beat?
Already there.
Already
like,
there,
yeah.
sorry, but you don't do that. Okay.
No, we do that. Like
we
track L3s just as we do for L2s.
Okay, but you don't make it special. Nice. I don't see any more questions, to be honest. Do you see more? You saw more? But I don't see, I think.
No, I think it's
all. Then give a big round of applause to